Expectations have been on my mind recently. Something that has a lot of power, inconceivable power over your life, ranging from your behaviors to your perception of the world around you. It baffled me the power they hold over us. So, what are they? In order to understand them, we must be able to give them a definition. In order to reach a solution, you have to know the problem. When I asked Google, it said an expectation is a strong belief that something will happen or be the case. What's even more baffling though is that we are not aware of most, if not all, of the expectations we set, yet we continue to suffer because of unmet expectations all the time. Expectations can be formed either consciously or subconsciously. Conscious expectations are the ones that you consciously predict a certain outcome based on knowledge and prior experiences. Let's say you have a job interview. You'll consciously predict that if you study hard, rehearse your answers, and say that you're a perfectionist, you'll perform well in the interview and the chances of you getting the job are going to increase. On the other hand, subconscious expectations are formed through a combination of past experiences, cultural influences, and personal beliefs. When you repeatedly encounter certain situations or information, your brain decides to take charge and it starts to anticipate similar outcomes in the future without you even being aware of it, mainly through your habits and routines. Let's say you're used to waking up and smelling that beautiful aroma of freshly brewed coffee when you enter the kitchen. One day, someone else is making tea instead of coffee. When you enter the kitchen, you'll feel a sense of surprise because you live alone and the expectation of having a normal morning routine has been subverted, and all of a sudden, you're being robbed. Expectations are a lot more powerful than you'd think. They can motivate us, they can drive us, because they create a vision of what we want to achieve. And because of that vision, we start to behave differently. When we expect a positive outcome, we are more likely to put in the effort in expectation of reaching it. Expectations act as a mental target, giving us reason to take action and work towards our goals. They can energize us and provide a sense of purpose and direction, which can be a very powerful driving force. Imagine you're a student who has a big exam coming up and you expect that studying hard will lead to a good grade. Because of this expectation, you're motivated to spend hours studying, asking questions, and taking practice tests. Your behavior in this case is driven by the expectation of success. You're putting in the effort because you believe it will pay off with a good grade. Having positive expectations is essential for success. When people believe they can do well and expect a good outcome in areas like sports, business, school, or work, that expectation in and of itself often motivates them to dream big, work hard, and make those expectations come true. A good example is athletes who believe they can win, they tend to perform better. So is the case with students who expect and get good grades, scuba diving pizza delivery men who deliver pizzas underwater, and professional sleepers who sleep professionally. It's not an easy job. However, expectations are a very dangerous double-edged sword. While expectations can be motivating and positive, they also have a negative side. When misused, which is often through setting unrealistic expectations, which basically means when you expect too much that reality literally cannot meet it, like starting a new diet and expecting to lose 20 pounds in just 1 week. This expectation is unrealistic because it is physically impossible, and in an attempt of making it possible could be very unhealthy. When the person inevitably fails this goal, they will be disappointed because they did not meet their expectation and they could be discouraged. When you set unrealistic expectations, physically impossible feats like expecting to fly like a bird just by flapping your arms, live forever, or even beat the world record for the largest gathering of people dressed as Albert Einstein, which is 541, you are setting yourself up for disappointment because the first two go against the fundamental laws of biology and physics, and the third one goes against any of your friends agreeing to do this. Let's say you set an expectation and it is realistic. Imagine you have been working on a project at your job and you have set high expectations for yourself to complete it ahead of schedule. You believe this achievement will lead to praise from your boss and a promotion. However, as the deadline approaches, you encounter unexpected challenges that make it impossible to finish early. You end up missing the original deadline and the project quality isn't as high as you'd hoped. So as a result, you become frustrated because of your expectation of finishing early was not met due to unforeseen obstacles. You begin to doubt your abilities. Missing the deadline and not meeting your high expectations makes you doubt your abilities and leads to lower self-esteem. You lose motivation, you'll gain disappointment and self-doubt as you fear similar outcomes. You'll also feel stressed, the pressure of striving for unrealistic expectations, and then falling short can actually lead to stress and anxiety. More dangerously, however, you'll feel ultimately disappointed because simply reality has fallen short of your expectations. Reality falling short of your expectations is a concept. This concept is called the expectation gap, which is the gap between our reality and expectations. Let's say you book a hotel room online and the website showcases beautiful pictures of a room with a description of a luxurious suite. You expect a spacious and opulent room based on these images and the description. However, when you arrive at the hotel, you find the room is much smaller and less extravagant than you imagined on the website. In this case, the expectation gap occurs when what you expected from the hotel's online portrayal of the room doesn't match the actual room you received. When you were choosing which room to book, you were choosing from a range of options. What we do in such situations is choose the option that we think is best, the one that we imagine will be the best of all options. Instinctively, we try to best maximize our benefits, otherwise we wouldn't pick the option that we think is best. The very act of choosing the thing that we think is going to give us happiness, that very decision-making process actually undermines our happiness, because when we see reality, it's highly likely that reality will not live up to our expectations. The expected happiness is bigger than the actual happiness. Then that leads to disappointment and just general dissatisfaction. Technology makes this so much worse because it makes things that aren't even on the happiness scale seem possible. It makes us romanticize about travels, relationships, and places that reality simply can't live up to. We think the Taj Mahal always looks like this, when in reality it looks like this. We think that the Eiffel Tower always looks like this, when in reality it looks like an attempt at beating the record for the largest picnic. Technology skews our vision. It distorts reality and makes the unreal seem very real. Other examples would be filters on social media that can change pictures to make people look perfect even though they aren't, creating unrealistic beauty standards. It is safe to say that expectations are predictions we make in our mind about what we think will happen. Those predictions can strongly affect how we act and feel. Now, we often do things based on what we expect and what the result will be. Our friend and society's rules can also shape what we expect and how we behave. What we think will happen can have a big impact on what we do and how we feel. Imagine you have a pet dog and you expect your dog to behave well when you take him for a walk. This positive expectation can actually affect your behavior and your dog's behavior. You'll likely bring treats and rewards, expecting your dog to follow your commands. This encourages good behavior in your dog. Moreover, your positive expectations can make you more confident in handling your dog. Moreover, you'll be patient and assertive in your commands. Because you expect a pleasant walk, you're more likely to enjoy the experience. However, let's set bad expectations for the walk. You can always expect your dog to be naughty during walks, and this negative expectation can lead to bad behaviors. You'll quickly get upset and impatient with your dog, even if it hasn't done anything wrong yet. And since you think your dog won't listen, you might not even bother teaching it the right way, which makes things worse. Expecting a tough walk can also put you in a bad mood, and your dog can feel that too. As a result of this horrible walk, which is only horrible in your head so far, you might cut walks short because you believe they're going to be hassle, which isn't good for your dog's exercise. It wouldn't look like this, and in the worst case scenario, it might actually retaliate. Behavior isn't the only thing that expectations can affect. Expectations can also play a pivotal role in altering perception. When you expect good things, you tend to see the world in a more optimistic light. Imagine you're about to meet someone new for a date. If you go into it with the expectation that you'll have a great time, you'll see things in a good way. When you expect good things to happen, you automatically notice the good-sided things of situations. You'll feel happier and you'll be much more motivated. However, if you go in with the expectation of it being horrible, you might not pay attention, act disinterested, and make it more likely that the date will actually be bad. You'll have closed-off body language, you probably won't actively engage with your date, and you'll make prejudgments about your date, which causes you to miss out on getting to know them better. Your behavior is going to create a self-fulfilling prophecy where you'll act disinterested and your date might reciprocate those feelings, making the date less enjoyable for both parties. In this scenario, the impact of bad expectations can lead to a less enjoyable date, missed connections, and potentially a missed opportunity for a meaningful relationship. So far, we have established that expectations can be formed consciously or subconsciously. Expectations alter behavior. Big expectation can either motivate you to take action, change your behavior, and expectations can also help in building momentum. Or if used incorrectly, they can stop momentum, demotivate you, and will often lead to disappointment and self-doubt. Expectations can also alter perception. If you expect something to be good, you'll act accordingly and look out for the good more than the bad. If you expect something to be bad, you'll act accordingly and you'll look out for the bad more than the good. So with this knowledge, it's pretty safe to say that we must take action and balancing expectations to a healthy degree. At this point, you're probably wondering, how do I balance my expectations? First, you need to set achievable goals that match what you can realistically do. This requires genuine honesty with yourself, and you'll need to be flexible and willing to change your plans if need be, which will destroy your ego in the short term, but it almost is always worth it in the long term. When balancing expectations, you need to focus on your effort, not just on the outcome. Concentrate on giving your best performance, because often, if we lose, we feel a weird sense of satisfaction knowing that we have honestly given it our best shot. So to sum it up, balancing expectations requires finding the healthy middle ground between aiming high and staying realistic, as to not delude yourself into thinking you're something that you're not. It can help avoid pitfalls of both unrealistic optimism and excessive pessimism. Last but not least, you know that you won't meet your expectations all of the time. Nobody does. So how do we deal with unmet expectations? Let's say you're a student and you expected to get an A, but you got a B. First, you must accept that not every test is going to be an A. You also need to stay positive, because B is not a bad grade. It's only, quote, bad in comparison to the A which you wanted to get. However, you have the opportunity to learn from your mistakes and improve on the next test. You might also want to balance your expectation of always getting an A. This does not mean aim low. It means adjust your goal to aim for an A next time, but also understand that B is a good grade. What you aim for is not the bare minimum, it's the ultimate goal. So identifying the bare minimum can also help with balancing expectations. This is going to do it for today's episode on expectations. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I hope that you've learned something new that you can start applying to your daily life. I certainly did while doing the research, and I'm starting to get better at managing my expectations. Make sure to take actionable steps, because being aware of the problem won't solve it. Now that you know how expectations work, how they're formed, and how to deal with unmet expectations, you can start applying that, and trust me, you'll see very good results.